All right, it's like 3 degrees outside. We're all going to die in a snow-apocalyptic blizzard in the next 2 days. Christmas is ruined. There's no Santa Claus, and I don't know, whatever. It's new comic book day, I guess. Anyways, hi, how you doing? I'm Taylor. It's Cranky Comic Book Review Show, and the show where I crankly review comics. I go worst to best. It's a light stack this week because I'm lightly stacked, and there wasn't much that caught my attention at the shop. I probably missed some things because you've heard me rant about my shop before. I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to do it. I'm all cheerful and happy and joy today, people. Cheerful, happy, and joy. Because Blizzard and the world's ending, and we're almost through 2023. Also, if you're watching this before Thursday, the 22nd at 8 p.m. Central, well, then you should tune into my show on Thursday at 8 p.m. Central on my YouTube channel, which is the same channel you're watching this video on, unless somebody pirated it and pretended to be me. It's going to be a Secret Santa unboxing. I got a box over there. I'm opening. I don't know who it's from. And everybody in this chat, it's a bunch of you Instagrammers in a group I'm in. We all did a Secret Santa mystery box comic book exchange thingy, and we're exchanging books. So that'll be fun. You can see what we got each other. Maybe I got a box of rocks or a whole box of Turok #1s. You don't know. I don't know. We'll all find out together. Anyways, let's get into this. Worst to best. There are no rules because it's all mass chaos and we're all dying. First, we have Avengers Forever number 12, which apparently is the part of Avengers Assembled number 3, part 3. I don't know. I didn't read the first 2 parts. Doesn't matter. It's Jason Aaron writing. Cooter on the art. I think Aaron Cooter on the art. I think so. Jason Aaron Cooter. It's a stupid book. And there's stupid books that are okay. Like, there's another one down in the middle of this stack that's kind of stupid. It's a big, bombastic, stupid fight scene of a book, but it's at least fun and well done. This is a big fight scene of a book, but it's boring. And it's not very well done. It's kind of got muddy action scenes, and the whole thing's one big action scene, basically. You're kind of plopped in the middle of things. I don't mind this. I read the first bunch of these books. I think I might have missed an issue. I don't remember. And they all kind of blend together. The first 11 or so issues of this are really just, oh, the multiverse Avengers, go find some other broken Avenger in time and gather them, or in a different multiverse and gather one of each of these. It's been a one-and-done kind of plotting mess of a book. And apparently now it's shifted, and now it's a big fight scene of a book, where we're finally getting to the point of why these are all gathered, why these Avengers are all put together, and why they're doing their Avengery type things, and it should be fun. It should have potential. It should be like a big-ass, kick-ass, event-y type comic, but this is just stupid. The fight scene's not well drawn. You're not really sure what's going on. The Cooter doesn't really have the greatest mastery of anatomy, at least as far as like dynamic anatomy and like choreographing a fight goes, and I'm not sure if that's on him or on Jason Aaron. Tending to put the blame on the artist because I've read some Aaron stuff that I liked back in the day, like Gore the God Butcher, that storyline, where he's working with a different artist and like was able to pull off these big bombastic things. So I put the choreography and the illustration of the scenes, I put that blame on Cooter. But the storytelling is just a hot mess too. So like Jason Aaron, I think he's just writing for a paycheck at Marvel nowadays. And he's got all these pieces moving in all these different Avengers books. Apparently, I'm not reading the rest of them. Where you just try to assemble and put them all together to fight some big evil, and the big evil they're fighting is kind of fucking stupid. And it's really just kind of a lame-ass book. So I don't know. I tend to talk more about the books I hate for whatever reason. And I'm not going to it's not throw it over my shoulder type hate, but it's not very good. All right, next we have Zach Kaplan. Hey, he's on this list a couple times today. Breakout number 4. This is the last issue of Breakout. Breakout! And, Wilton Santos on the art, Jason Wordy, Jim Campbell, whatever. They did some stuff on the book, too. I'm not going to open it. This stupid reseal thing. I hate these bags. But, it's a breakout book. It's in the title. And not to spoil a whole lot, even though it's the 4th and last issue of this, these kids have been abducted by aliens or something in these giant floating cubes, and these other kids try and break them out. That's the basic plot of this whole mess. And actually, I lied. I don't think Kaplan's in this later. Never mind. It's a different writer. Kaplan's only on this list once. And this wraps it up. This is like the penultimate thing. You've had this escape plan where these other kids are all trapped, and this is how it all resolves. And it resolves fine. It's not very surprising. It's kind of a little self-congratulatory as far as the main character goes, even though there is some sacrifice involved, because you can't have this kind of thing without sacrifice. It just feels like there are very few surprises in this. Like, I think Kaplan had a decent enough idea, and then just kind of bang, 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 by the numbers, finish this thing. And it's all right. It's middle of the road. If you're looking for a middle of the road, weird sci-fi teen adventure, you could do worse than this. But you could also find a lot better books out there. This is just not a great story. It had interesting potential. I liked the idea. That's why I bought the first one, and then I had just enough going. Honestly, every issue just kind of enough to keep me going. And this is just kind of the ending. I'm like, well, yeah, that's over, I guess. So, I guess my review of that's over, I guess. All right, next. We have a big bombastic fight scene of a book. This one's a little bit better done than the other one, though. This is Deceased, War of the Gods, issue number 5 of a Tom Taylor on the writing. And Tom Taylor just tends to handle these big, bombastic, dumbass books better than Jason Aaron, I think. With Trevor Hurston and Neil Edwards on the art. And they've split the art duty, and that's part of the issue here. Like, the different artists don't help this title. And like, neither of them are either very great at drawing grand action. Hurston's a bit better, but it's still not the best drawn book I've ever seen. What it is, though, is fun. And like, this is Tom Taylor just bashing toys around in the sandbox. And he's been doing that for a while with these undead, deceased books and stuff. And this, every time you think it's over, you're like, oh, deceased, the zombies. No, keeps going. More zombies, more undead things. And now there's Darkseid, who's undead and evil and things. And Mr. Mxyzptlk, however you say it's in this book. And Superman. And, this is one where you don't read it and for the deep poetic nature and the, grand things that comics can accomplish as far as narrative storytelling. This is one you really just do read. It's like, yeah, that's goddamn cool, and kind of like a fun idea. And that's what this is. It's a fun bashing idea, like bash the toys around in the sandbox idea. It's got a really cool ending. It's got some cool bits in the middle. I just wish it was better drawn, and yeah. But Tom Taylor does a lot of these things. This is probably the best issue I've read of this Deceased War of the Undead Gods. And 3 issues to go. I'll stick around and see how it ends. But yeah, it's just a fun, dumb book in a fun, dumb what-if universe. All right, next we have... this one's starting to get pretty formulaic. Something is killing the children, number 27. It feels like it's been about a year since the last one. I don't know. I can't keep up. It's James Tynion IV and Werther Dell'Edera. And it's an issue of Something has killed the children. This is going to be a hard book to review because it seems like the same thing is kind of happening every issue for like the past 10 issues or so. Like, not much is the short answer. What happens in this issue? Not much. And at the end, there's a setup for a future threat. It kind of seems like it's been that way forever. Like, not much happens, then a future threat's set up at the end. Or like a background threat inches closer to catching up with Erica Slaughter. But so far, nothing's really been happening in about 10 fucking issues. And that's, Tynion is slow on the best of days. But this is real slow. And it's got Werther Dell'Edera's stupid-ass framing design, too. I'm not sure who to blame for this one. I don't know if it's Tynion saying, hey, you should do really long, skinny panels that no one can really give a shit about. Or Dell'Edera. But, like, you're 27 issues in. Figure this shit out. And I guess at this point it's probably a stylistic choice, which is more annoying. But look! Long, skinny panels that cut the center border and are just not very great at storytelling because of the nature of the layout. And then you go back to the grid, which is boring, but at least easy to understand. And then you have, like, more flippity-floppity, long, skinny panels. Like, lots of long, skinny panels. At least the majority of them don't break the center line in this one, which is better than most. But, I mean, dear God, pick a different illustration device. And if you're going to break the panel, the center panel, do it intentionally. Because this one's also real close to the center line. So you're like a little confused as to how to read this stupid issue. I've been saying this for a lot of issues. And I do get frustrated with this book. And this is a frustrating issue. But it's still got me hooked enough. What it is good at is Tynion's really good at setting up the atmosphere and keeping it going. And just doing just enough to keep you hooked. And I guess that's the nature of serial comics and serial storytelling. At the end, you get the big reveal, or you're like, oh yeah, that kind of could be cool. It probably won't be, but it kind of could be. So I guess I'm along for one more issue and $4 more. I could have bought a latte with this shit. All right, and then we have Nightwing, number 99. Yeah. And I know I said I was done buying a lot of these physical things. Here's the thing. It was a slow-ass week for comics, and I kind of got... I still haven't picked up the DC digital thing because I just haven't had $100 to drop in one chunk. Although I've been dropping it in tiny little chunks every week on other books, so I guess I could have. Trying to figure out what happened in this one. Oh yeah, it's mostly not about Nightwing. I mean, there's I can't remember. There's Zucci, Mucci, Lucci, one of the crime boss family people from Bloodhaven's in this. Nightwing fights him. It's interesting enough. It's a fun, entertaining issue of Nightwing with some fun Bruno Redondo illustrations. And then at the end, like right where you want Bruno Redondo to wrap it up, it gets handed over to a guest artist. So I'm like, okay, well that's not great. Maybe you should have just put the book off for another week or so and let him catch up. But whatever. I mean, it's okay. It's a good solid Nightwing issue. Not a ton to say about this one, really. And that's some of the problem with some of these monthlies where you're trying to review them. It's like, okay, if you like Nightwing, you're going to like this issue. If you don't like Nightwing, you're not going to like this issue, which is not the best way to review a book. I get it. But that's kind of where I'm at with this one. It's Tom Taylor again. He's been telling a solid, fun Nightwing story. So if you're not caught up on it, this is not a good place to start. Next issue is 100. I'm guessing it's going to be a big, thick boy of an issue, and it'll probably be a lot of guest artists and probably kind of useless and dumb. Or it could be good. I don't know. I'd rather they just told more of this story, but it's DC, and like these two big two can't help themselves. Anytime there's a whiff of a milestone issue, they have to go all out and like do some big over the top thing. That really tends to be a shitty story. So, but Nightwing's been a fun story. It's like getting out from the shadow of Batman, which I know it's been the Nightwing story from day one, but it's a fun romp at least, and I think Tom Taylor's having fun with this, and it's a fun read. Not gonna change the world either, but also fun. Speaking of big dumb fun. Like master of fucking transitions, aren't I? I Hate Fairyland again. Volume 2, number 2. Scotty Young writing it. Somebody being on the art. The art is big and dumb and stupid. Reminds me kind of of Ren and Stimpy, the illustrations from the cartoon. Just over the top cartoony. And this is just cartoony comic bookness, if that makes sense. It's not realistic. It's not meant to be. It's just big, candy colored stupidness in a good way. And that's kind of the story too. I've not read volume 1 of this, but I don't think you need to. Honestly, near as I can tell. Greta or Gretchen, or I don't even know the anti-hero's name. It doesn't matter. Like, she's gonna go back to Fairyland and kick some ass, even though she hates it. And then there's in-jokes, and there's some punniness and wittiness and some funny kind of bits, and a lot of big dumb cartooning. It's a dumb book. It's fucking stupid. But it's entertaining stupid. You're not going to be bored reading this. And I'll take big and dumb and entertaining stupid with like, look, I'm spoiling things because that's the last page. But, yeah, I mean, it's big and dumb and whatever. And if you just want a big, dumb, well-done book, this is probably the way to go. If you don't mind the cartoony nature of the art. It's not for everybody. I get that. It's not as Scotty Young can be. In that regards, I think Bean's a little more toned down actually, as far as some of the illustrations and stuff. But it's a fun book. Not going to change the world. Not going to be any deep cartooning. Maybe that's the theme of the week. Not a lot of this shit's going to change the world. I mean, most comic books by nature aren't going to, anyways. But the world's a big, dumb, immovable object. All right, I've got 2 left, and these could probably go in either order. They're 2 very different books, but it is what it is. We have Jeff Johns and Gary Frank on Junkyard Joe number 3. This has been a pleasant surprise of a book for me. This is from the pages of... Is it Noctera? Maybe? No, that's Scott Snyder. I can't remember what the fuck book this... Oh, Geiger. The Geiger universe. I don't know, whatever. Doesn't matter. Joe's a robot that first appeared in the pages of Geiger, I think. And then this is his story, kind of. But it's more the story of how the people around Joe are affected. And like the first issue is it's all set in during the Vietnam War, and that was pretty touching and interesting. The second issue is about a cartoonist that was illustrating the sort of like not comic booky, like comic strippy life of Junkyard Joe. And this issue number 3 carries over from issue number 2. And it's pretty touching. It's not an action-packed issue by any means. It's more of a quiet issue. And some of it's about the effects that war and the violence can have on the psyche in a kind of surprising and unexpected way. And then it's interwoven with a side story of these characters I think were just introduced to in this issue. I don't remember them from the last one. This family that kind of also moves to the neighborhood, and like it's a small story about them moving to a new hood and not fitting in. So you tie in these two small stories that don't really seem to fit yet, and I think they're going to, and probably overlap pretty soon in Junkyard Joe number 4. My worry is it could all go horribly wrong. Not in the writing department, but for the characters that you're kind of like learning to like in this issue. It's like, that's probably not going to go well. There's just this sort of ominous sense of it all. But it's a touching issue. It really is. Kind of sweet and tender in a surprising way. And I'd like it. Gary Frank's art's pretty effective. He's got a little bit of cartooniness to the faces and stuff, but for the most part, it's a quote-unquote realistic comic. And his style really fits in very well with this type of story. So if you're looking for something that's not Marvel or DC and not a ton of issues to pick up, I would recommend Junkyard Joe. I think you can do worse than that. It's only 3 issues in. And then next, we have the world's most boring book about space travel. Not really, but this is my book of the week. And Mark Russell, who I confused with Zach Kaplan. This is Mark Russell on the writing with Roberto Melli on the art. And this is Traveling to Mars, issue number 2. And this is a very boring book about space travel. It's not really about that. It's about this sort of guy who has terminal cancer who gets chosen to fly to Mars and sort of stake a claim to the planet and be the first human to set foot there and lay claim for this company. And he's chosen because he's dying and because he also doesn't seem like he has a lot of ambition on his own. And it gets tied into the first place, like a little bit framing device saying why the ship was named, and then a metaphor for who this character is. And then it's mostly an introspective sort of diary or journal of this guy's journey, but also of his life's regrets and like kind of how he ended up here, but more like how he hasn't done anything and like he's looking back, and it's just kind of a sad, quiet little story on a spaceship, and I really liked it. Mark Russell has these like moments of sarcasm and bitterness and like kind of like cynicism that he sneaks into this, and he's done that in every book I've read of his, including like Superman Space Age or the Not All Robots, and I can't remember what else he's done, but he's not like he tends to have this like satire as it. There's a little bit of that in here with like the methods that got this guy to space and like the mechanism that like put him aboard, not the actual physical mechanism, but the storytelling mechanism and the corporate entity that is sort of controlling this guy. But like, so for the most part, it's just, I think it's a quiet essay on like life's regrets. And it's kind of sad. And it kind of was like, yeah, that's not what I was expecting. And that's a good thing. I don't think every comic you should like know what you want. Like, you know, I saw something on Instagram the other day because, like, you know, Henry Cavill's been fired as Superman, and like maybe it was Instagram, maybe it was Twitter, doesn't want one of those toxic social media things that I'm on, and like somebody was like, rule number 1, you have to give the audience what they want, and I think that's the dumbest fucking rule ever. Like, if you give the audience exactly what they're expecting, exactly what they want, they're gonna be bored off their ass, and you have to surprise them. You have to give them what they need or that's also arrogant, but just tell a good fucking story, and the rest will fall into place. And, like, the audience will either go along or they won't, and that's not on you. But, like, if you give the audience everything they expect, you're going to end up with a boring fucking fight scene of a book. And, like, it'll be on the bottom of my stack, and I probably won't buy the next issue. But if you get something I didn't know I was into and didn't know I kind of wanted, like Travel to Mars issue number 2, you're going to hook me. And because I didn't know I wanted this. If I described it like, oh, it's a book about a guy traveling to space who's dying and kind of writing a memoir, it doesn't sound very fucking interesting. And I know I'm swearing a lot, but, you know, deal with it. But it really kind of is, so... There you go. That's my favorite book of the week. Not the biggest week here, honestly, and that's all right. I'm kind of end of the year burnt out on all this shit anyways, but whatever. Yeah, so the 22nd of December, come watch us all unbox the mystery boxes. And I'm pointing over there because my box is over there. If you otherwise catch it on the rewind. And Have a good happy holidays. I'm not gonna say Happy Christmas, Merry, because I don't know if you celebrate Christmas. I don't give a shit. But like, just don't be a dick to each other in this trying, unprecedented time of the year. Except for it's precedented, shit happens every year. So that's all I got. Don't be a dick. I'll see you later. One more of these in 2022, and then we're on to 2023, which will be another year.